Hello and welcome to today's video. This video is everything I learned as an education major and 8 reasons why you are qualified to teach your own kids. So I hope you stay with me. I'm just going to jump right in. So, um, I've seen, I've been in a lot of homeschool groups and I've seen a lot of posters, and a lot of people will worry about this. They'll say, well, I don't know about homeschooling. What if I can't teach my kids well enough? And basically, there's this fear that that you're not well equipped enough to teach your own kids. And the whole point of this video is I just really want to ease your fear so much, because it is really not all it's chalked up to be. And I'm going to go through everything I learned going to a 2 year college and then transferring to a 4 year university. And I actually went to James Madison University in Virginia, which is a good university. But I just want to tell you my experience so that you can see it. You are more than qualified. So I'm just going to start with community college. And basically, in community college, it's about 2 years long, and you get an associate's degree when you're done. And when I went here, I was very bummed in the beginning because I realized that the majority of my classes were just repeats of what I learned in high school. So, most all of them, save a couple, and I literally mean a couple, were just like algebra, science, geography classes, the same stuff that I learned in high school. I just had to take it all over again. And then, you had to write down what your goal was eventually. So, my goal was an education major, but I wanted to do art education. So that made me have to take, I think it was only one education course, if I remember correctly, and one art course. That's it. Out of 2 years of college, two courses that I had to take that were specialty courses. So I remember in the education course, basically, I don't remember anything that the teacher taught, to be honest. And I do remember we had one week where we had to go and visit. We could pick a middle school, a high school, or a elementary school. And we went for about one week for a few hours. I think it was a few hours each day or a few hours for a couple days. And it was just one week out of the whole semester. And we just observed. That's all we did. We just sat in the class and observed the other teacher teach the kids. And that was the extent of that one course that was a specialty course in the first 2 years of college. And then the second course that I had to take was an art course, and it was computer art. And we did a very rudimentary illustration on Photoshop, and that was it. And that's pretty much a wrap of my community college. So after that, I did start to do some substitute teaching, which was pretty good pay, 80 to 100 a day. You basically walk in, you see the teacher's notes and plans on the desk, and you just do whatever she has planned for the kids, which is usually like some sort of, work in their book or a slideshow or something like that. You basically sit at the desk and just monitor and make sure the kids are not acting up. And if they need help, you go help them. So that's pretty much all it is with the substitute teaching. Anyone can do that without a degree. So then it came time for me to transfer to the 4 year university. And I was really excited because I thought, well, I'll finally get to, do these specialty courses. And what I found was I still had to take some general courses again. But they were not near as many as in the first 2 years. Now, as far as what I had to take for education courses, it was only a handful of them. So the way it worked was everyone that went to college for education had to take the same education courses. So I remember there was another student who was going to to going to college for to be a PE teacher. And so I even though I was going to be an art teacher, we had to take all the same courses. And same with like the people that were teaching literature, the people that were teaching history, we all had to take the same education courses, which was really only like 3 or 4 max, I think. I remember we had to take a childhood reading class, and then I had to take a couple in my specialty, which was like I think about 2 or 3 art education classes, if I remember correctly. And we had to take a philosophy class where you learn about Aristotle, and then the rest was kind of in your specialty. So mine was art. So I had to take at least one in like most of the art classes. So one drawing class, one painting class, one sculpture, and so forth. And then you had to pick one that you really wanted to do the most, which I picked photography. So I had to take 6 courses in photography. So that was in my specialty. Of course, when you homeschool, you're not teaching your kids one subject. Okay, but I do want to talk about in my art education classes, and I'm sure they did this in all the education classes, was basically just learning how to make a lesson plan. And I just want to show you what that was consisted of. So, I mean, what that consisted of. So, basically, they just wanted you to write, it was like a 2-page paper. They wanted you to write an objective. So what do you want? Okay, and I just put an example here. To teach students about the importance of recycling while making a sculpture. Okay, and so this is what kind of like this is where like the liberalness of colleges come into play here, where they wanted some sort of woke agenda that you you know were going to infiltrate into your lesson plan. So it was like, anything, uh not now, recycling not necessarily woke, but it was something, just something progressive and like, modern, that they wanted you to kind of include it. What they didn't want you to just teach the kids about art, they just wanted you to add something to it, like, you know uh some sort of rights movement or something. So it was like, yeah, you can paint a picture, but I want you to include this agenda too. Okay. So this was kind of an example. And then they wanted you to include some sort of book, some sort of kids book that you would read along with the lesson. And then it was basically, the rest was just like a how to, like, okay, first I'm going to have the students cut the newspaper, then we're going to glue to the newspaper to a balloon, and so forth. Okay. So this is not rocket science, but this is what they wanted us to do. Now, the education reading class was literally, in a nutshell, just a teacher like suggesting certain books to us that we could use in the classroom, that were good books they thought that we could use. For example, they'd be like, well, this Dr. Seuss book would be great, and you could use it like this in the lesson. And that was basically the whole point of the whole class. And like I said, all the education majors were in there, like history majors, science majors, all those, everyone who had their specialty of what they wanted to teach, they all had to take the reading class together. So that was basically what I did. And then after that, you have your student teaching, which is literally only one semester long of all your college 4 years, which it took me 5 years actually. We have one semester of student teaching. It's split in half. And for the first half of the semester, I think it's about 2.5 months, you go to a teacher at a school. You're assigned a teacher. You don't have a choice, but you're just assigned a teacher. And I was assigned to um, a teacher at a high school. And you just basically sit, for the first part of the 2.5 months, you sit and you watch him teach. And the second half, then you get to teach the kids. Okay, so then I did that, and then you get transferred to another teacher. And the second time I was at a middle school. Same thing. You have to sit and observe for the first half. The second half, then you teach the kids. And they want you to use, your woke lesson plans. So Okay, once you're done with that, then you basically graduate, but the rest is up to you to finish. You have to go to get your actual teaching license. You have to go pass this test called a practicum, and it's pretty difficult. And it includes all the core subjects. It doesn't have anything about your specialty. So, in my case, it was nothing about art. I'm sure, with others, it was nothing about anything in their specialty. It was just basically, you know, all the basic education stuff. So, all the core subjects. So, you had to take it at a testing center on a computer in the city, and it cost about $80 to $100 if I remember correctly, maybe 120 each time you took it. And if you fail, then you have to re-sign up again, pay the money again, and take it at the certain testing date that they have. And it takes like, I don't know, it's like a whole afternoon or a whole morning to finish it. It's sort of grueling. So I went and took that, and I failed the math portion the first time. So I had to actually go back and take it again, and I had to pay the money again and take it again. But when you pass, then they mail you your certificate and all of that. Okay, so that is basically my, and we're talking a lot of money to go to college. I don't know if any of you follow uh Charlie Kirk, and he just thinks college is a scam. It kind of is, in my personal opinion, because I mean, literally paid thousands and thousands, and I was blessed to have my father invest in that for me, and I don't have student debt at this point. But wow, I mean, for what I learned for that amount of money, it's just I there's just no words. So, you know, I feel like I went, yes, I got the degree, but I learned how to make, a lesson plan, and I've got, compared to 4 5 years invested, you have one semester of actual, like, in classroom, experience. I mean, that's not much. So here's 8 reasons why you can homeschool, and why this isn't a problem, and you're more than qualified to do this. Number one, you love your kids more than anyone except God and want what's best for them. All right, a teacher, a stranger who's hired, they're never going to love your kids as much as you do. And they're never going to have the most best interest for your kids in mind as much as you do. Number two, you know your kids better than anyone, and you know what they need more than anyone. You're going to be in tune to that more than anyone else. Three, most of college is paperwork to make a grade, not real life teaching experience. Now, I did make great grades all the way through college and everything, but it's just not the same. Number four, you don't need to repeat college subjects and core subjects, basically refresher courses to teach what you learned in grade school to your kids. So, I mean, yeah, I went to college and I took all the same classes that I took in high school, basically. Well, you don't need to do that. We all learned the same thing in high school. And yeah, maybe it refreshed my memory some, but, which leads me to my next slide, is we all have Google. This is 2025, and whatever day it is when you're, or whatever year it is when you're watching this video, we all have Google. And a lot of us don't even remember half the stuff we learned in high school. And even all the people who have teaching licenses are still Googling things, and, to learn things. And there's no shame in it. Number six, you have 18 years to teach them basic information. This is not rocket science. You're not teaching your kids rocket science. You have plenty of time. You don't need to teach it all at once. Number seven, most of classroom management is common sense stuff. And who manages their kids better than you, mama, right? You have a better say so over your kids than anyone. When your kids are acting out and mommy says stop, they stop, compared to a stranger in school. Number eight, your kids are going to feel the most safe and most love with you, and they will learn in that environment way better than with a stranger. So, it's just a great environment to teach at home. Your kids are with mommy, they're safe, they're home, and they feel loved. And that's so important, so important. So, the whole point of this video is I want you to know that you can do it. And the Lord is with you, and you are not alone. And this is not near or even half as hard as they make it out to be. And you are definitely far qualified, probably more than the licensed teachers, in fact. So I just gave you the information that I learned in college. And it's kind of sad for me to say this, that, you know, that's really what it was, but it really was what it was. And a lot of that is just, 4 years, 5 years of maturing, because you mature over that period of time. And that is important. But um, this is, learning is fun, and, you learn about science. It doesn't have to be difficult, it doesn't have to be hard. The only part that's, a little can be a little daunting is like when you get into the high school algebra and stuff like that. But when you get there, it's not like we don't have Google, and there's not like a million resources out there and people that can help you. And a little math work, a little brain work, figuring things out is not terribly difficult. So just want to encourage you mamas out there that are thinking about homeschooling but feeling pressure, like, oh no, I'm not qualified, I don't have a degree. And I just want to totally remove that fear for you. God bless you, and I hope you have a great homeschool journey.